Hey guys, Megasaurus Reads here again with another book interview. Today we are here to talk about The Stars Too Fondly, which here we go. I really wanted to love this book. I guess I should give you the information. It is The Stars Too Fondly. It is by Emily Hamilton. Sorry, I had to check that because I can't see backwards. I wanted to love this book. I was really excited about the plot. It seemed like it was great for me. I really love seeing books about a lot of diversity and inclusivity, and I'm sure you saw my my video last night where I was really excited that I got like 30 pages in and discovered that we were dealing with more diversity than I originally expected. But that is about all I really can say that I liked about this book. I loved the plot. Like, you read the back, you think it's going to be a good story. I absolutely loved it. But it's got to the point. I'm not good at defining what a genre is, but this honestly felt like fantasy in space rather than a sci-fi. It was so much like magic that was disguised as dark matter. And I loved the story. I really actually liked it, but it didn't feel very scientific except when we got into the details over, some of the scientific aspects of it. And a lot of that was just, I don't want to spoil too much because I do recommend you read it. You should read it, but I do want to give a couple of warnings about that. The characters are 27 years old, and I know 27-year-olds like these characters, but these characters felt like 20 to me. They felt so much younger than a 27-year-old, and I'm saying that as a person who is considerably older than that. I've got a decade on the kids in the book, but I just couldn't get into some of their attitudes and everything. Some of the, the way they talk, the way they hang out, the way they make decisions didn't feel like they had 27 years of maturity behind them. They felt like they had a lot less, which didn't hurt the book, except that it made it feel less realistic. Which, speaking of less realistic, I want to talk about how this book is like an ode to early millennial pop culture, fan culture, honestly nerd culture. It's not even pop culture, it's nerd culture, which I could tell you all about. I love Star Trek Voyager. I'm a big fan of Star Trek Voyager. Thank you, Janeway. But While You Were Sleeping, is that the book? I think that's the movie that was talked about in here. While You Were Sleeping, Independence Day, TikTok. Are you going to tell me that TikTok is still as popular and still the regular mode 60 years from now? Possibly, but I don't find it very believable. And we're talking about, this is supposed to be set in the future, but it honestly only feels like it was set in the future because it had to be. Because we had to make it about some future event, and then we had to advance forward a couple of decades. Otherwise, I feel like it should have taken place in 2020. That's what it felt like it was in. So it was hard for it to feel like it was really taking place in 2061. I think there's some parts of it are relevant to 2041, some parts are relevant to 2061, and it's hard to make it feel like it's relevant to those parts when we're busy talking about 1990s nerd culture. But, I can't blame her hugely. She's a big fan of those things. I'm a big fan of those things, and I enjoyed seeing them, but I don't feel like they were appropriate for the novel. The story, like I said, I'm going to go back to the story because I really want to talk about the things I liked. I do recommend the book despite my grievances with it. I'm not going to say this was a horrible book, this was poorly written, but it definitely felt written by somebody younger. It definitely felt like it was about people who were younger. So if you're in your 20s and you love nerd culture, pick it up and read it. Also, if you're in your 20s, you love nerd culture, and you're okay with diversity, because you do have to be okay with diversity, which I expect you to be, please. But it is a huge feature of this book, so I'm very proud of the author for that. I know she is a member of the LGBTQ plus community herself, so I'm glad to see that she's writing And I'm glad to see that she's active, and I'm glad to see more books in the diversity category. I just, like, I can't say a lot of amazing things about this one, except that it's good. I mean, it was enjoyable. And it was like, it's like if you want to read a romance, but you also want to read a sci-fi. And I think that's exactly what it's supposed to be. I want a diversity romance sci-fi novel. Perfect. I don't want to have to think too much. Perfect. Every little bit of science that's in here, they kind of explain to you. And honestly, like I said, it kind of feels more like magic than it does science. So it doesn't really take a lot of like previous knowledge science-wise to really understand it, but I do appreciate that she clearly did do a little bit of research into the bits that she did do. And the bits that she clearly had knowledge on or did the research on, there was a fair amount of knowledge and she did know what she was talking about, which I did appreciate. But yeah, no, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. I'm glad I read it. I wouldn't read it again. Thank you so much, Emily Hamilton, for this contribution. I am glad it is out there. I am glad that others have the opportunity to read it, because I know this is going to be something that's right up a lot of people's alleys. I'm just not 100% sure it was right up mine. But I'm glad I read it. Like, I've got it in my repertoire. And I'll take it, all right? 3 out of 5. I'll see you guys with the next book. Thank you so much.